Don't forget to like and subscribe. Question on Reddit: what's the scariest 100% true story you've heard of?
Someone said I work midnight shift at a gas station, and I have for quite a while at various stations in different areas with varying levels of criminal activity. I have regulars, of course. I'm a small-statured woman, as is my partner the other half of the week, and we've always been partners, so these regulars often worry about us and keep watch on creepy occurrences when they can. I had one man who worked in the metro an hour away who would stop in every morning for his cigarettes. He never smiled or seemed friendly, and as I often do, I tried to think of what I could do that might make him smile one day. It took many months, but I finally pulled it off by having his cigarettes ready on the counter and already scanned for him to pay for as he walked in. He smiled, and then asked me, "Do you ever get scared on the night shift? You small girl is not safe." I said I sometimes did, but we could lock the doors and hide if we had to, and that the provincial police, think state troopers, if you're American, had a station close by and came in often to get their highway vehicles washed. I had a good rapport with those police. He nodded and then told me a story about when he first moved to our country from Eastern Europe with his wife and child back in the late 80s, early 90s. He fell asleep at work one night at the gas station he worked midnights at. When he woke up, the phone had been ringing for hours and his manager was shaking him violently asking if he was all right. He was fine, he said. What was the problem? He was sorry he fell asleep. His manager screamed that it was fine he fell asleep, to look outside. All of their motor oil was missing and the outside of the place was a mess. The thieves had come and swiped all the oil and left him be because he slept through the entire thing, and then moved down the road to the next station for an encore. At that station, the clerk was awake and fought back, so the thieves stabbed him to death and left him to bleed out. When he finished telling me this, he concluded with, "If you ever feel sleepy, just lock the door and do it. It might save your life." I don't work at that station anymore, but I think about that guy all the time and wonder how his grandkids are. Someone said one of my friend's family growing up had a beach house and I'd get invited every now and then. They had dollar, and the house was massive. Pretty cool place too. They even had a full-time maid who had her own flat at the back. One day they go there for a long weekend and when they opened the door, the place had been ransacked. It was all a mess, missing TVs, furniture, broken stuff, you get the picture. They went to check on the maid and her flat was empty. All her belongings were gone. They called the cops who came over and had a brief look, not interested from what they said, and left saying the maid probably had something to do with. And that's what everyone believed for a week. Until the dad returned the following weekend to try and change the locks and etc., and he brought their dogs along with him. Yep, you know it. One of the dogs started digging and found the maid buried in the backyard under a tarp they had close to the pool. So the theory now is that whoever came in probably knew her, and she recognized them, and she had to go. Someone said in the 1990s, a nurse in New Jersey killed hundreds of hospital patients. Sometimes he would sneak into patients' rooms at night and inject them with fatal medication doses. Other times, he would put the medication into 4 bags in the supply room, so they would kill whatever random patient they were given to later. He was accused several times. Some patients pointed him out before they died. Some staff thought he was creepy and dangerous, and refused to work with him. He kept getting fired from hospitals. But the hospital managers knew that if he got arrested, they would be sued by the families of the patients he murdered. So they just fired him, and didn't call the police. Someone said that happened at 12 different hospitals over the course of 16 years. Investigators believe he killed as many as 400 people. After he was arrested, he confessed to 40 murders. In 29 of them he gave enough detail to be charged and plead guilty. He is linked to 300 plus more deaths than that, but details of those will probably never be known, because so much information was lost over time or destroyed by the hospitals. Someone said when I was 17 I was hanging out with 2 friends, and they wanted to go smoke weed in the woods. I didn't feel like it, so I drove them and waited in the car. After a while I was getting bored and decided to go meet them, but there were 4 paths going off in different directions, so I just took the biggest one. After walking for a few minutes in the pitch-black forest, before flashlights on phones, I come across this dip in the trail, and on the other side is a bench lightly visible due to the moonlight. On the bench is sitting a man and another one and standing in front of him, but I can only make out silhouettes. Being sure these are my friends, I yell out to them before walking over. If you ever walk the woods at night, it's just an uneasy feeling all around, so I was cautious to begin with. Well, it turns out, just after yelling out to my friends, both silhouettes turn around towards me. Not a word, not a sound. The guy sitting down starts sprinting full fucking speed towards me in complete silence. I got the absolute fuck out of there, sprinting also the other way and tripping over shit because I couldn't see anything. I finally get out and lock myself in my car, but I was really worried for my friends. Maybe a minute later I see them both coming out of a completely different path. They also confirmed they never saw me or anyone else. My heart still sinks just thinking about that dude sprinting in silence. WTF was that shit? Someone said my college girlfriend called me one night. The Baton Rouge serial killer had been active a while, and someone said it's my story. When I was a little kid, 5 to 6, we had this neighbor like grandma to me. I'd go over and have snacks, and she had a Mr. Potato Head I played with that was her, now adult, son's toy. Weird core memories. He came home, in his 20s, from the army, I think. I don't remember much about him, but he asked about taking my older brothers camping, but my mom said no, she had a weird feeling about him. Side note, we lived out in the country, not even a town, just a place. There were no locked doors, everyone trusted each other. My mom saw him at our little store with bee stings all over and was concerned. He said he got them at the creek. She thought that was weird, because that's just not a thing where we went all the time, but okay. A little while later, not sure how long, the news said there was a murder of some campers out past where we lived, no leads. People were shocked this doesn't happen here. My mom remembered her weird feeling and the bee stings that didn't make sense. She called the police to say, hey, probably nothing, but here's what I got. I remember detectives coming to our house to talk to her. They had some other evidence that matched, but not enough to link him to the murder, a couple with their child. It's unsolved to this day, though the detective said he knew it was him. A few years later, the guy went to prison for an abduction/attempted murder of a woman who ran out of gas, and he offered her a ride. She lived, thank God.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.